So, for clarity of where we are in time, this mini session's called the Rebirth of Remux, which is obviously going through his backstory. The timeline for this is a bit skewed with where we are in our main story because we've already gone off and done the next section. But most of this takes place during that 5 week break period during not the previous episode, the episode before. So it's kind of linked to your fever dreams for the bits and pieces. Anyway,
Cool.
let's get started. So, over the 5 weeks that you had downtime, back in Taris, hanging around the town, helping out around, doing all of those bits and pieces, you spent quite a lot of time, so you told me, focusing on the lightsaber that you recovered from Dathomir, which happened to be your previous master, Master Ingtar's.
Yes.
You have been trying to see if any of these parts are salvageable and can you integrate them into what you're looking to do, which is build your own weapon. Now, we've already had a fever dream which has come across to you, which we'll address in this, but we're going to move on to a little bit further. So, we have had different parts of your personality be affected by this crystal during this time. So we see Remix. He's in his room, chamber, whatever you want to call it, on the duck egg. He's got his legs crossed, the lightsaber in front of him, taken into pieces, and he focuses specifically on everything there. But the crystal is drawing your attention more than anything else. Remix believes that that is what was calling to him from the cave, not anything else, because it's all mechanical parts. That's the only thing that has potentially touched the Force and can have an effect on the Force. So as you're focusing on this crystal, you're calming yourself in the Force, cross-legged, eyes closed, reaching out with your being. We have a flash, and we see third party Remix as a child in the village on Dathomir. The village is the tribe of the Crimson Moon. You are a Zabrak male community. There is no women. This is very odd. How do you have children with no women? Anyway, the village life is slow. It starts with chores mainly during the day. Sweeping, taking the muck out, feeding the animals that may be there or may not be there, tending any crops that you need to see. But once they're done, that's when the real pain comes in for Remix. This is where the tribe leader takes all of the young ones for physical and combat training. It's your clan's role to be the best of the best, to be chosen at the breeding ceremony hosted by the Night Sister Witches. Now, Remix is a young boy. These witches, he knows about them. He has been told from a young boy, your purpose is to be the best you can be, to be the best breeder that you can be for these witches. But he doesn't really believe that they're real. He's never seen one. No one's ever seen one. They're like a mythical beast. You've heard about these wonderful beasts in the galaxy called Rancors, and you've seen more of them than you have seen these Dathomirian witches. So he's kind of, I feel that his position is, are they really real, or is this guy just, pressing us for hard? So in this village, all men. There's about 10 adults. It's a small clan that you found out compared to some larger clans that are around. You visited some other villages, traded, etc. There are some much larger ones. This is a very small sect. Why is it so small? But it's about 15 children, varying ages, some slightly younger than you, some slightly older than you. But there's one child in there called a Mevet, M-E-V, flying apostrophe, I-T-T. And he is the bane of your existence. when the clan leader isn't working you hard, he is making your life hard. I'll post it in here if you want. He is making your life hard. He picks on you and chastises you. He's the cool dude of this village. You know, he thinks he runs the place. He's got all the other young ones on his side. You are the outcast, as it were. So, the village elder takes you out, makes you work hard, makes you race to the top of a hill. Let's have a hard athletics check, please.
Oh, okay. Okay, so.
Hard is 3.
Thank you. I wasn't ready. Hang on a second. I'm really enjoying this so far.
Everybody does this. When I say roll a dice, they're like, "Oh, character sheet. Need one of those." I'm recording something with Richard. Could you close the door, please? Thanks, bud. Good night.
I now have my most recent level up. I now have the ability to add force to athletics because I've put 1 point into enhance, the force power enhance. Can I have that, or because this is way back in the past, I haven't got the force power yet?
Let's say no, because
Okay.
this is a bit back in the past. We'll come on to that in a little bit.
Okay, and hard is 3 purple.
3 purple.
Okay. Fail. With 2 advantages.
No worries. So you guys are up this hill. Last one does the slot bucket. You always do the slot bucket. But you push so hard up this hill, you're trying to keep up with the other children. Unfortunately, Mevet is not happy with your performance. You are gaining on him. You've been gaining on him for weeks. You've been training and doing your chores, getting stronger. And as you get close to him, he's in the lead. He's always in the lead. You get close to him, you get an elbow. Unfortunately, connects straight in the face. Sends you off and sends you tumbling down this hill back into last place. You get yourself up. You're resilient. You're a young boy. You charge back up the hill, pushing hard. But as you get to the top, it doesn't matter what you did. You couldn't catch those last stragglers. And you come to the top of the hill, gasping for breath, blood running down to your nose. Wow, Remix lost again. Looks like you'll be dealing with my slop bucket later. And he gives you a shove on the shoulder as he walks past. Bet you can't make it down the hill first. And all of a sudden, you get pushed from behind. And crashing down the hill you go. And you hear from the top of the hill, "At least you'll win that round." And you hear a raunchous laughter coming from the top.
Oh, what a bastard.
As you come to a rolling stop closer to the bottom, you're all bruised and battered and a little bit dizzy. The tribe leader steps over you and says, "Remux, you've failed again. I don't think you'll be making the meeting ceremony. Go about your chores." And he sends you back to the camp. As you walk back to the camp, you hear the others. He's calling them up to say, "Form ranks, now we're doing combat training." And you kind of look over your shoulder after being chastised, and you can see them brawling and throwing. And okay, poor Remix. This goes on over a period of time. He's training you. There's no definitive date that they keep saying that you're going to go to this mating ceremony. They just keep saying it's coming, training. Same day repeats. You go up the hill, you're getting bullied. You're getting faster and faster. You're the underdog of the tribe. You're getting stronger and stronger. And one day, you beat Mevet to the top of the hill. As you come close to him, you know that he's going to take a swing, and you duck underneath it. He falls off balance, and you make it to the top. How do you celebrate when you get to the top? Do you celebrate when you get to the top?
I think he wouldn't do a big grand gesture. I think he would look down at Mevet and glare, half angrily and half with pride. Just glare at him.
So as he's looking back up you with just daggers in his eyes. You can see just over behind him the tribe leader, just very slow, quiet clap. And then you hear his voice echo as the other boys are charging up the hill still, trying to get to the top. Session over. Prepare for combat. And you see all the boys who are pumping up the hill going, turn around, and they all start walking back down quickly. As you come down past Mevet, he gives you a dagger as he goes, you won't be doing that again. That's your one and only victory. Tribe leader, I think I should spar with the new champion, don't you? Tribe leader turns around and goes, get in line. And he does everything possible, Mevet, to be opposite you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want a simple brawl check. This is going to be, again, hard. 3 purples.
Mm-hmm.
Or have you got... You've got brawl... Sorry. Yeah, brawl's a skill, isn't it? Sorry, not brawl.
Yeah.
Yeah, do brawl check, please, against hard.
Got it. That's fine. That's 4 greens. Because... hang on a second. Let's need to press a button on something. So I've got 4 greens, no yellows, because I've got 4 in brawn, but I haven't put any skill points into it.
And then 3 purple.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Go on! Yes!
So Mevet comes towards you when the tribe leader says, go, battle, train. And he comes towards you completely confident you are going to be a pushover. You've not been training with these guys. You've not had the experience he's get. Having lost the hill all that time, you've always been sent away for chores and chores. As he comes in with just a huge bear hug, expecting you to just be a rabbit in the headlights. And you don't. How do you make him back off? Even if it's 1 hit, I don't mind. How do you make him back off?
So his style isn't flashy. So I think it would be simple. And from my karate days, like if someone's doing a haymaker, comes in wide, you've got to go in and block. So I imagine if he's coming in with a big bear hug, I think Remix would just go forwards, block, and then like clobber him on the head. So forward block, and sort of slam with his fists on the side of the guy's head on his temple.
So a little bit like Sherlock Holmes, where he discombobulates.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like that.
So he comes in, big swing. You step into the middle, slap him on the side of the head, and he just
on the horns.
Oh yeah, that would hurt your hands as well. He just goes dizzy. Just takes a sort of step back and then staggers and sits in the dirt. And you look up and you see the tribe leader. Remix is shocked. You just knocked down your bully in one go. And the tribe leader just looks at Mevet, looks at you, says, again. And Mevet gets to his feet all shakily. And over the next hour, you brawl, you exchange blows, there's lots of throws. But you learn. Your advantage is you're learning. So you're getting thrown about. And is that my voice coming back through the feed?
It shouldn't be.
It's okay. So you hear, not hear you. So you have this battle back and forward. He's throwing you, you're throwing him. It's kind of like judo style, like karate. You're back and forward. And at the end of it, you're sweaty and bruised, and a little bit of blood coming from cuts. And everybody's the same. And he says, "Enough!" and slams the staff onto the floor. "Go clean up, Mevet. You're on slop duty."
Yeah.
The daggers that he gives you, just, and you all go back to the tower. And a couple of the boys didn't really engage with you before. They were always Mevet's team. Clasp you gently on the shoulder, not to be seen, just quickly. "Good job," and a bit of a smile, and then you all walk back to the village. Continue about your chores and things. The next day, we're up again. You do your chores in the morning. The tribe leader calls everybody together and says, "Up the hill." Again, you charge up this hill. Mevet doesn't seem, though, to be trying to take you out. He needs to try and prove that he's first. So he's not trying to take you out. And you guys have a real head-to-head race up the hill. He wins. The next day you win. And it starts to become closer and closer and closer as you do this. Same with the combat. You are brawling, throwing fists, kicks, throws. Everything's becoming closer, in skill level. And you kind of think, I think I must have done a lot better than some of the boys. And the tribe's leader starts to take a lot more interest in you, in terms of, you might make a good breeder after all. Next we come on to combat training. He's doing physical training, doing martial training, and now's the training of your mind. It's all well and good to throw a punch. Sorry, wrong voice. It's all well and good to throw a punch. But tactics is the real battle. And he presents you with a scenario. And what he's after is, how do you capture your rival tribe's prized possession, maybe a trophy, a flag, or whatever, without getting caught? And I need you to make me a warfare check and tell me exactly how you would do it. This isn't solo. Let's say you're leading the tribe. How would Remux go about stealing another tribe's prized possession?
He's not going to be good at this because his intellect is low. He's got an intellect of 2 and no yellows. So I'll do a roll and it will probably tell me that he didn't come up with a good idea. And what's the difficulty, sorry?
This is average. He's not under time pressure for this one. It's just just asking to do it.
Okay. Oh, fail with a threat. So I think what Remux would probably say, because he's not very stealthy either, I think he would say something probably quite naive and just say, "I'm fast now. I'll be able to run through and grab the possession before anyone saw me." So he doesn't suggest anything like a distraction or stealth. He just cockily says, "I could just be so quick. I'll be able to run in and take it."
So the tribe leader looks at you completely flabbergasted. That wasn't the task, Remux. I see your mind isn't as sharp as your body. Dismissed. Slop duty. And then he continues to train or teach the other children involved. You do see Mevet have a little smile on his face as you ushered out to do slop duty. This continues for years. 3-4 years, not 100% sure. And all of a sudden the messenger comes to the village one morning as you're doing your chores. It is a female, wearing robes, yellow and orangey robes, but they take off their hood and they have the tribal tattoos. All of your pre-existing doubts about these people existing, well, here is one, right in front of you. They deliver a scroll, brought up scroll, into the tribe leader, who bows very deeply to this lady. And then she just disappears back into the wilderness. Amazingly, though, being on a flat plain, she just disappears. And you see the tribe leader, after watching this lady just vanish, pours out this big scroll, puts it down and goes, "It's time. Gather your nice clothing. Leave behind all personal possessions. We're going to the ceremony." And with that, Remux wakes with a start. Back in his room, lightsaber still in front of him. Where did that memory come from? That was ancient history. That's not where you are now. You weren't trying to reach the past. You were trying to reach anything out of this crystal. You weren't trying to reach your memories. You were trying to seek the memories of your master, your comrade. a little bit confused. Remix puts the lightsaber away, goes off and gets some food, sorts himself out, does some exercise, goes about the town, see if anybody needs help. You're coming back to this lightsaber. This has been playing on your brain. During this time, you've been having those dreams, at night, and we'll come to it. So anyone that is watching will find out what it is shortly. But you've been having those dreams, and you take out the lightsaber again, and you go, right, this time, Master Ingtar hopefully will answer. You set the lightsaber again on a nice cloth. You sit cross-legged, shirtless, and just calm yourself. Reach out with that force like Master Ingtar taught you years ago. Reach out the feeling you're whole yourself. And you close your eyes, and we have another flash. Now we see Remux dressed in his best, being marched up towards a large castle. Never seen such a building. It's high on the mountaintop, and it appears to just be on the mountaintop. You can see it stretching around, and it's huge. You've played Jedi
Fallen Order.
That's it, yeah. So you've seen what Dathomir looks like from what
Yeah.
they've done in the book. So very similar to that. It's put together with wood and rope, most of it. A bit strange. So you find yourself being marched up to the ceremony, and you can look over to the east and the west, and even going up further into the castle. You can see that all of the tribes have been called, and you can see that the tribe leaders at the front, as is with yours, and children marching behind. There's a few adults who have come with you. So on the way there, he reminds you and says, "You are tributes. If you are not chosen for the mating ceremony, you will be discarded. No tribe, no life, no help. Make me proud." And he marches you through the gates. Large portcullis. You can see lined up in the large courtyard rows upon rows of this woman that you saw. This woman wearing the same robes, ranks upon ranks. You've gone from not believing they really existed for no evidence at all to seeing one, and now you can see hundreds all here. Up on a platform in front of you, there is very clearly the person in charge. Everybody else looks the same. They're wearing the same orangey, yellowy robes. This person is wearing a very ornate headdress. Standing there in different colours. They're wearing more reds and blacks. And as you come into the courtyard and you're standing in your tribe's line, there's other tribe members talking and people looking at your tribe and looking the other way, and sniffing at people that may be smaller. You're all in the same position, a bit like sportsmen do when they see a little short person in every tournament. And the figure on top of the dais raises their hand, and silence is almost instant. Everybody looks up. Today, we choose those who will become our breeders and give honor to the tribes. A cheer is given in the crowd as everybody trying to get their tribe heard more than others. And you see your tribe leader turn to you and give a loud roar, and he's trying to encourage you guys. The mother raises her hand and points. I'm trying to point my finger. And the crowd goes immediately quiet. To the arena to determine your fates. You can see this arena. It's like a wooden gladiatorial circular gladiator. What's it called? Arena pit. There we go. Arena. And you can see that there's people ready to fight. And some of the boys in your group, tribe, they're going, oh, we're going to go fight people in another tribe. We're going to bring so much honour to our tribe. You know, they're practicing moves, stretching, getting their muscles already. Out of the where you are, you're down in the lower, you hear the voice called, Crimson Moon, you're first. This is your tribe. What do you mean, Crimson Moon, you're first? Like, doesn't make sense. Surely it should be Crimson Moon versus. You see the tribe leader point to you. Remux, Mevit, in you go. You see Mevit look at the tribe leader. We're fighting each other? For the honour of the tribe, you will kill each other. And he pushes you both into the arena. As you step in, you hear cheers go up around the arena, looking up into the seating dais. Is it called dais? It's all of the women in these orangey yellow outfits. You look up, you can barely see any men here. You can see the mother sitting on a platform looking down. Mevit's a little bit more, let's say, ready. He doesn't sort of wait for you. He kind of gets a little bit of a gap away from you, looks around a bit more. You are just awestruck by all of this. And then you hear the voice, begin! Looking up at the mother who clearly called it, the crowd goes silent. And all you hear is the footsteps of, to see Mevit charging at you with a complete feral rage on his face. Let's have a fight.
Okay.
Now, I'm happy for you to make this cinematic if you want to make it cinematic, or you're happy to roll dice. It's entirely up to you.
Well, we already know what the result is, don't we?
Yes. So let's do this.
So I'm happy for it to be cinematic, because otherwise I might find myself getting a result which doesn't match what I wrote in my first time.
So I'll flip over the dark side point. You're going to lose this fight. How do you lose this fight? You tell me, including Mevit's actions, how this fight takes place. It can take 30 seconds, it can take 5 minutes. It's up to you how this goes.
I like your suggestion that he's awestruck. And I think perhaps that's a good description, that he's not even paying attention when he hears the thud, 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 thud of him running towards Remux. So I think probably even the first hit is just a smack in the face without him even realizing. And then for the rest of the fight, he's just on the back foot. And he, despite all his training and him being capable of beating Mevit, he just is constantly on the defense. And Mevit's heart is really in it, whereas Remux is a bit intimidated by winning. You know, if he wins, he's got to mate with one of these scary creatures. So I think he doesn't even in his heart necessarily want to win. And I think he barely puts up a fight, and he gets quite thoroughly beaten by Mevit.
So as the last punch comes in, Remux is still in awe. His head's ringing now. He's taken a few punches to the face and the gut and whatever. This last punch comes in, and Remux, face to the floor, blood coming out of his nose and his mouth. There's a cheer from all of the women, and then immediately goes silent as you hear, "You are unworthy of a mate. Weak and a coward. Neither the Night Sisters or your tribe need you." You don't necessarily see, but she gestures to a few burly Zabrak that you had seen men at the arena's entrance, saying, "Cast him out from this place. He is no Zabrak of ours." You are picked up, manhandled, dragged from the floor. They have one under each arm, and you can see into the arena as you are being dragged out. And you see the mother point to Mevit and go, "Take him to the take Mevit of the Crimson Moon to the mating pit. May seed strengthen our tribe." And as you're dragged out of the pit, you see Mevit being carried by women into another chamber. The two burly men carry you over to a foul-smelling hole and literally cast you in it without a second thought.
Oh.
And as you go down, you're sliding down this circular tube. You come out into thin air, and you see the ground coming up very quick. And with a thump, everything goes black. You open your eyes, sit up, rocket. Where did that memory come from? These are things that you've put away from your life. You don't want to know that. Although you do have a smile on your face when you find out that years later, Mevit died of an early heart attack from being used too much.
Oh.
And you also found out that the mating pits sounds wonderful for at least once or twice. But you're actually being thrown into slavery, where you're being used as meat. So you've set up bolt right. You're back in your bunk, and the parts of the lightsaber are scattered all over the floor. The cloth that they were on still resides on the bed, but everything's moved away. You're hot, sweaty, you feel unclean, just like you did after landing in that filth all those years ago. You go over to your fresher, wash yourself. You splash water on your face. You look up into the mirror as the water runs down your face, and you don't see you. You see a younger version of you. Beaten, downtrodden. Your horns are smaller. Your skin is waxy. You've got bruises on your face, cut lip, split nose. And you stand there looking at yourself in the mirror as the water runs down your face. And you think, how many days was it? How many days were I in the wild by myself? No tribe. How did that feel? And you decided there and then that in the slop of this castle, you're not destined to die here. You're destined for greater things. So, how did you survive? How did you take yourself from this waste pipe with filth and survive between here and meeting Master Intel?
Yeah. So, despite the fact he's not very clever, he has actually got really good resilience because he's got a 4 in brawn. He's got 4 green in resilience. So I think actually and also he's good at survival. So I think he is naturally built for this kind of thing. I think obviously the first day or two would have been hard, but I think probably he must have found some real sort of bushcraft skills in him that he must have picked up along the way and also sort of invented along the way. And I think it hardened him even further. I think he learned to hunt animals for meat because there's not really much in the way of vegetation on Dathomir, is there? So I think him actually hunting wild animals would have actually made him even more tough.
Okay.
And I think he just had the strength of mind. I think he managed to hone his discipline in those times when he was wandering the wilds.
So we know that Dathomir is a dead, dying planet, and everything would have been sparse and scarce anyway. So as a boy, he definitely learnt some bushcraft skills. The tribe leader taught them how to find fresh water, how to find roots and shrubbery that are okay to eat, that the animals don't go near, how to hunt, all of those things. How long was Remix out there before he finds the Valley of the Lost?
I think it's going to be months. I think not a year, maybe 6 to 8 months, perhaps.
Okay, that's fine by me.
It's quite a significant amount of time. Enough time to go a bit peculiar being on your own.
Yeah, okay, no problem. So, over that 6 to 8 months, you start at the castle, And at the end of the 8 months, you find yourself entering the Valley of the Lost. You've survived all of this trek, far, far, far away from these witches and your tribe. You're like, right, I'm done with all of these people. I'm going to prove them that I can be survived and I can be the person that I want to be. So I'm going to say you travel a large portion of the continent from where you are over to the Valley Lost, just trying to get as far away as possible from all of these requirements. And over that period of time, you do come across some tribes, but as you get further out, they get less and less and less. So there was the ability to steal some things. Maybe you stole a knife. Maybe you stole
by running in and grabbing it and then running out really quickly
into the world, yeah. You know, clothing and shoes and all those bits and pieces that you know, mundane stuff that but you've managed to do that along the way as you're working along to the Valley of Lost. And you have heard of this place. Everybody knows of Dathomir. You know of Dathomir, and you are taught as children there are certain areas you do not go. You're no longer a child. And why do they tell you to stay out in the Valley of the Lost? Doesn't make sense. You've been warned, you know, there's big predators around, but you're a big, strong hunter. There's no reason to fear anything. And, well, simply, you can't sit around and do nothing all day. So you find yourself entering the area of the Valley of the Lost, and it's a vast mountain range with deep valleys, like we explained in the first episode where you guys went hunting, the deep crevices in the patchwork. I imagine a dried desert floor, and obviously the cracks are large enough to walk through. You know. So you find yourself going into these the Valley of the Lost, and this is definitely scarier than anywhere you've been before. However, you're lost. You worked your way into these valleys thinking, that's great, I can get my way back out. But you're lost. And the noises you're hearing in these canyon walls are, like I have maybe bitten off more than I can chew. There is the very familiar sound of hunting rancor. There is sounds of smaller things that you can hear scurrying in the valley floor and around, but you never see anything. But you see tracks, and they are almost the same size as your hand. So there are some larger predators in this valley. After a few days of not a lot of sleep, you're, being woke at night time, you've found some water sources and found some shrubberies. I'm not worrying about all of that. But you haven't slept a lot. You're quite resilient, you're quite fit. You definitely would be fit for the last 6 to 8 months, obviously, being out here. Maybe you've lost some body mass because of muscle, but, it's this tiredness that's kicking in. You may have had like 14, 16-hour days because, maybe even longer because of the sounds, they're waking you up, broken sleep. And it's during one of these such times that you've been woken from your slumber in the afternoon, you could hear something large coming, oh no, better get up and run. You kind of stumble to it's like a very small clearing in the middle of this like deepened valley. But it looks like a camp. And it looks well kept. There appears to be a small fire pit. There appears to be a large overhanging tree for shelter. There is a box. A box? What's a box doing out here? But it looks very well kept. There's nobody here. The fire's burnt very, very low down to embers, but there's nobody here. What is this place? Why would somebody have a camp here? Doesn't make sense. Would you like to do any perception checks?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yellow, green, green. And what difficulty do you want?
Average.
Okay.
2.
Boom! Single success.
So, just sitting on the edge of this clearing, you know better than to jump into a camp. You kind of skirt around it and have a look at this. It's like a perfect circle, and you look at it and go, this doesn't make sense. But there's definitely footprints. You can see that there's footprints going in and out, and they look human, or at least Zabrakian that looks like humanoid. There we go. What is somebody out here? Is it another outcast? Is it somebody else? But that box, could it have food? Could it have water? You don't know. Do you want to know? Tell me what's your plan?
I think Remix would wait a while, being somewhat stealthy, to see if he could hear or see anything or anyone. And I think after a short space of time, maybe like 5 or 10 minutes of just waiting to see, then I think he would definitely approach out of curiosity and want to look in the tent and look in the box.
Okay. So going down to look in the box, you get on your knees, you walk into this circular area. As you walk through, you immediately feel calm. You know, you've had some real stressful 6 months, 6 to 8 months. You know, this has been. You just feel calm. What that does to you makes you feel a little bit wary. You go to the box in the tenty area and you look at this box and you open it up, and inside are some very simple things. Looks like a small book. Remix opens it and can't read it, so he closes it and puts it aside. It looks like there's a few other tools. A light. Looks like a lighter, but it's like a flaming thing. Just useful things for camping or hanging out. But as you're looking through these items, your body gives up. And you're like, I'm calm, I'm warm, this looks safe. And as you sort of lay down on the floor looking at the items that you've got, you immediately fall asleep. And you wake back up in your bunk. You're laying on your back. Now, how did I get here? I was over there. All the lightsaber parts have been picked up onto a cloth and they're on the side. This is very weird. You're having waking dreams and things are still going on. You shrug it off. You're like, okay. You get a call from the townspeople and say, Remix, we need your help lifting some heavy items, and maybe some exercise will be good for you to, you wander off, but it's always on your mind like, well, how did I get to the bit? You go off and do some manual labour around town, helping out, watching the kids, and as you're looking at the kids, you have a flash of the arena and Meved and the other tribe's children running around. And then later that evening you head back. And that's when the first dream happens, where you see Master Ingtar cut down. You think it stops there. But you hear a voice. Are you awake yet? You open your eyes and you're in the tent. It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. You can come out. And as you look outside the tent, just out the corner of your eye, you can see it's now night time. You can see the shadows of fire on the stonework. I'm not going to hurt you. This guy's got a very odd voice. Doesn't sound Zabarakian at all. Looking out, you see a hooded figure sitting close to the fire. It's not looking at you, it's just side on. Seems to be keeping warm, and there appears to be some meat cooking, which sends your stomach into a craze. My name is Ingtar. What's yours?
Remix, he says.
Well, Remix, once you've put my items back in the box, would you like some meat?
If you're willing to share.
And you see him cut a piece off with a knife and hold out a plate. I've reached off camera here, but he holds out a plate to his side.
Remix will hurriedly put things back in the box and run over and take some and sit next to him at the fire.
So he sees that you're wolfing down this meat, cuts another slice and puts it on your plate, watches you devour that, cuts another slice. He just keeps feeding you as much as you need, and he does eat himself. While you're sitting there, you're kind of got lost in nom 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 nom, eating. You hear a and you turn around, and what is at the edge of the circle, where you believe the circle, is just a rancor's face, staring at you and the fire. Hasn't crossed the circle, but it's breathing. And Ingtar sort of leans back and goes, "Don't mind him. He won't cross the line. He comes here hoping for scraps. So do the others." And you look around the circle, and now in the firelight you can see a reflection of light that hasn't penetrated them, but you can see the like cat's eyes. They all hope for some scraps. Sometimes ends up in a fight. So, Remux, was it?
Yeah.
My name's Ingtar. And he takes off his hood, and you see an aging oriental man, greying hair in a top like a knot of hair. And what are we doing in the Valley of the Lost?
Funny, I didn't know it was called that, but I am lost.
Sometimes the best place to be is lost. I'm lost too, with a little grin on his face. So, are you willing to sleep here, or are you going to move on to your own camp?
I don't know, I normally travel alone. Would I be welcome?
Well, let's put it this way. I wouldn't leave my area this time of night.
I would be grateful to stay.
Good. Tend the fire, and he'll stand up and go into his tent. And I imagine it like an open-sided tent, so it's kind of over. And he sort of gets in there. You see him flip out his cloak and lay down, and that's when you get the first glimpse of this like thing attached to his hip. That's interesting. What's that? And he sort of covers himself up in his cloak, and within a minute or so, he's snoring softly. In the morning, you are still sitting there. Whether you've slept or not, it's up to you. Master Ingtar gets up and stretches. Sorry, are you sleeping or are you not sleeping?
I think he would really pay attention to tend to the fire. He's not used to being with other people. He likes to set up here. He wants to stay. So I think he'd do a really good job of tending the fire and keeping a watch. And I think he would have only napped briefly. I think he would have been up paying attention, adding more logs to the fire and keeping a close eye out for most of the night. He just napped.
So during the night, it gets later and later and later, and the dawn light starts to come into the canyon. You can kind of see it up high. It's like those movies where they're like, "Don't let the sunlight touch this thing," and you just see it creeping slowly down. During that time when the sunlight starts to come out, you just start seeing all of the creatures around you kind of get up slowly and amble off. A few of them are chased off by larger predators. The Rancor give us a big huff as if, I've been waiting all this time and I've got nothing. And then they all disappear. So as the morning sun reaches the camp and Master Ingtar starts to stir and wake up, there's nothing here. There's no creatures here. What a bizarre thing. So Master Ingtar will get up and stretch and... very good job on the fire. We don't need it during the day though, so maybe next time just let the coals burn down. But it doesn't chastise you, it's all of that. So Remux, what brings you to the Valley of the Lost?
I've been running from something. I've been trying to put as many miles as possible between me and where I've come from. And I guess you could say I've stumbled upon this place.
What's that tribal rune on your arm? He sort of looks at your arm.
I was a member of the tribe of the Crimson Moon, but I am no longer.
Never heard of the Crimson Moon. Must be a new one. But I haven't been to Dathomir in a number of years. This is... Well, actually, hold on a second. And he looks inside his box at like a chronometer. Actually, I've been here for several years, but my time previously, I didn't hear of the Crimson Moon. But, What are you running from, per se? Have I got to be concerned? Am I going to have to run with you?
No, no one's going to be coming for me. I am not even on their radar, so to speak. I was discarded from my tribe, and I just wanted to be as far away from there as possible.
That's a very honest answer, Remix. And I can tell. During this whole time, he's had his hands tucked into his cloak on the hips, and you can clearly see the lightsaber on his hip. You might not know, obviously, you won't know what it is, of course. But he catches you sort of glance at it a few times, and he sort of looks down and he goes, "Yes, I was a Jedi. I don't think you know what a Jedi is." And he sort of looks at your face and goes, "Interesting. You can feel the Force, but you don't know what it is. Well, Remix, looks like we've got some work to do."
Just letting baggage out of the room.
I need to turn the light on in a second. So, Remix, looks like we have some work to do. First off, camp chores. And he gets out like a stick with a little branch at the bottom and starts to sweep away some of the ash from the fire. Kicks off a few logs that you've put on to keep it burning nice and bright. And kicks them off and stamps them out. And he goes, "See this line? And what you actually see now in the daylight is you just see this little pebbles that he's put in a big circle around it." He goes, "Never break this line. If you do, we're both dead." Okay.
Understood.
So, Remix, and he leads you arm over your shoulder, and we see the scene transition as he's talking to you. We'll go back to back. "Tell me what you know of the Force," and then we have a cut. And you wake back up in your chamber again. You're on your bed. That's where you were. You knew you were on your bed. The lightsaber's over there. But the things have moved. You remember the crystal being in the dead middle. That's always the position you've put it. But it's no longer in the middle. It's over to the right-hand side. Something very fishy is going on in Mr. Remix's life. You go about your day, and you come back to your chamber and you're right, okay, I'm getting all these memories of my past. There's got to be something I'm missing. Maybe Master Ingtar is telling me relive my past to find a point that I need. So you settle back down, legs crossed again on the bed. The lightsaber's on the bed this time. Here it is, everything, including the crystal, in the middle. Close your eyes and you focus. And you're back in the canyon. Master Ingtar's standing in the camp with you, and he's teaching you about skinning a beast. But you know how to do this. You've skinned a beast. You're a big hunter. And he it's like the proud dad moment. He's watching you do it. You've got your build back now. You've been pretty well fed. Your chores on a daily basis with him are go and fetch some fresh water. If you can hunt, you'll hunt. If not, you'll forage. But over the time you're with him, you've got plentiful of food. One thing he does do every day, excluding the chores, is he takes you to a high point, takes you out of the canyon, up to a point where you can see over the hot-baked, the sand with all the cracks, and I call it hot-baked there. You can see over the canyons, over the top into the pinky purple sky in distance, and then all the trees, that you can see over. And what he started to do is put little pebbles in a circle. Over the top of you is a rocky outcropping. He started to put another load of pebbles in circles. But he's doing one at a time. It's taking a long time. It's taking you here every day. And he makes you sit here, cross-legged, as you're very much doing inside your room now. And he just tells you and talks to you softly. Close off your senses. Reach out with your feelings. Tell me what you see. And this happens over and over. Until one day, with your senses that he is over here. And he is placing stones, and he's doing something with the stones. You haven't quite worked out what, but he's doing something with the stones. And he's almost completed his circle. And he keeps telling you the same thing. He's being patient. Don't get angry. keep calm, reach out with your senses. And then one day you're sitting there cross-legged, you're doing everything he's told you, you're getting a little bit frustrated, and then a calm settles over you. And you can see him. Your eyes are closed. You can feel him. You can feel creatures down in the valley. You can feel these things that are giving you feedback. That's the way of explaining it. Sound. It's not sound, but like as in, you can feel them. And it kind of startles you, and you're like, and he goes, "Are you okay, Remix? What did you feel?"
I could feel things I couldn't see or hear.
Mm-hmm. Seems you're getting better. You do feel more open. Now, sit back down, cross your legs, close your eyes, breathe deep, and try to feel me. And you just hear him run off. Like a, just...
Mm-hmm.
Can I have a force die roll, please?
Yeah. Black.
So I'm not making you do your numbers here, don't worry. You sit there and you're like, okay, reach out. But he's just run off. Like, what's going on? Why'd you run off? You get a little bit stressed. And you hear, don't reach for that. Don't react in hatred or stress or anger. Be calm, patient, and it will come to you. And you hear him walk back, eyes closed, sits next to you and says, calm yourself, breathe deep, in and out. And you sit like this for a few hours. He doesn't say anything else, but you calm yourself, you reach back out on the force and you can feel him, he's there with you. And you just kind of feel him gently nudge you and guide you as you're feeling your surroundings and feeling everything else. And he then starts to teach you without kind of doing it without thinking. It's second nature. You're able to feel each other where you are. So he will run off and hide and he'll say, point to me. And you're like, there. And there is something over there that's not you. But he starts to teach you about feeling the force. Get back to me now, sorry. There we go.
Don't apologise. This is awesome. I'm really enjoying it.
So after a while, he's just teaching you about opening your feelings. And then he sits down with you in the camp. And he says, Remux, what have you been doing with me is touching the Force. The Force is an almighty power, but it must be used sparingly. There's two sides of the Force, the light and the dark. The light side is there to be used to protect people. The dark is to cause pain and suffering and hatred. You should never use the dark side of the Force. If we had more time and you were younger, I would be able to assist you in only reaching the light side of the Force. Because of your age and your experiences and your life, it's too hard for me to say, don't react in anger. Just be wary. The dark side of the Force leads to bad things. And you wake up in your chamber again. That crystal was moved again. It's no longer in the middle. It's on the left-hand side. Very, very strange. Over the course of a few months, he does this with you, reaching out with the Force, being able to feel your surroundings, and tells you about the living Force, tells you about the Jedi. But he always reminds you that the Jedi is a dead order. And if you openly refer to yourself as a Jedi, you will be slaughtered by the Empire. Who's the Empire, you ask? And then he goes into the conversation about who the Empire is, the Emperor, what happened, and he tells you the story of Order 66. He tells you how the Jedi were tricked into fighting the Galaxy's War, and it turned out that a Sith Lord happened to be controlling the whole thing, and they were puppets. He and a handful of Jedi had escaped, but he didn't know how many, and Dathomir was his hiding spot, out in the wilds, and he intended to spend the rest of his days hiding here in solitude and asking for forgiveness. During one of your treks, you've armed yourself, you've given yourself a spear, you've made a spear, a bit like all the survival movies you see. You get like a large stick and you stick your knife to it, and you've made yourself a spear, and it's mainly for hunting. You don't use it for like fighting. Unfortunately, this Rancor that has always been coming to the camp and sitting by the fire and hoping for scraps, which he's never fed him, and he's never told you to feed him, because that could lead to other problems. It happens to not be asleep during the day when you're making your trek, and as you step round the corner of the canyon ready to climb a particular section, you just see a clawed hand come back the other way, and it pull itself round, and it roars in your face, and it goes to take some swipes. Again, we're doing this cinematically because we don't want you to. You see Master Ingtar deftly step by as swings come towards him, but not once does he reach for this thing on his hip. He's told you this is a lightsaber and it's a Jedi's weapon, but not once does he reach for this weapon. And he manages to use the Force to subdue this creature. But your blood's pumping. There's a battle. And as a large rock comes down to just trap the Rancor, very clear that it will be able to get out in time, but it kind of traps it. You jump forward with your spear, ready to stab it into the head, and you feel yourself get really close and then freeze. And you just look to the side, and Master Ingtar's got his hand out and holding you, says, "Remux, we don't kill unnecessarily." And he just moves you back with the Force. This Rancor is part of the living Force. We do not take a life unless we have to. And again, as you go up towards your area, it's very clear that he's slowly moving camp. He's been building a circle and slowly moving. What you've noticed is the circle's got bigger. So the small one here before it slowly got bigger. It's slowly moving camp. And he explains to you about how the living Force works, and that you should not take life unnecessarily, and it should always be a last resort, should never be a first resort, as that is the path to the dark side. We then come to combat, and he teaches you how to fight. Not fight how you fight. You've been taught how to brawl. You've been taught how to throw punches and kicks and throw people over your shoulder and use your weight. But he teaches you how to fight with finesse. He crafts 2 swords from sticks and makes them a bit weighted, and over the course of a time he trains you. This is between your lessons of the Force, where he teaches you, tells you about the Jedi's history, reminds you that you're on your path, your own path. No one can tell you what path is yours. And then we smash cut to a stick battle where he's going back and forward. He easily overthrows you time after time. This feels like when you were back being a young boy getting beaten. This stick always happens to be where it shouldn't be, clasping you on the ribs or tapping you on the wrist and making you drop your stick, catching you on the side of the head, catching you on the horns. Everywhere it shouldn't be, that stick is. And over time you get better and better and better. Let me have a not melee. It is melee, yes, that's the sword, isn't it? Melee check on hard, please.
Nice. 3 purple.
That's the one.
Yes, look at that.
Nice.
2 success and a triumph.
So you've been watching Master Ingtar. You've been watching his feet, his placement, his balance, everything to do with how to use a stick sword.
Mhm.
And one morning, as it much was when you were a child, you look at it and go, right, I've got this. When he puts his foot here, he's going to do this. And when he does this, I'm going to do that. And he does your training in the Force, and then he steps up and he goes, right, time for stick training. And he doesn't give you a warning, he jumps straight into it. You've got yours. And you parry, and you thrust, and you parry, and you dodge. And he's like, oh, taking a little bit of a step back. And then he starts to do his fancy footwork, and you match him pace for pace, pace for pace. This goes on, and you're in a battle for about 45 minutes to an hour. No one can find through your defences. And then all of a sudden, he does a thrust. You tap his wrist with your stick, grab it with your hand, twist it so you're holding now his stick. With a fancy twist around, you hold the sticks to his chest. And he looks at you in his adoring eyes. Well done, Remux. You've beaten me. There's no more I can teach you about sword fighting. And then, with that elation, you wake back up in your chamber. The crystal has turned 90 degrees. That night, you put the lightsaber away. You've been doing a lot of this. And it's time to just try and have a night where you're not getting any fever dreams. And not getting any not getting as much sleep, if that makes sense. I'm just trying to find my text to you one second.
No worries.
Turns out I text everybody far too much. Okay. So that night, when you go to sleep, you try to shut off from the crystal, or you're trying to shut yourself off from everything else. And the dream comes back. And you've seen this dream several times, where you've seen Mr. Ingtar battle with this mysterious figure. But tonight's different. You feel, I can get involved in this. You know, I'm going to force myself. I don't want to watch my master die over and over. You've been enjoying the feeling of reliving the past and spending time with your old friend. And during this dream, you force yourself into a battle. Now, the dreams that you've had previously, you see a dark figure come up onto the mountaintop where you guys are. Master Ingtar has a huge battle with this person. You jump in to help, you lose your arm, and Master Ingtar unfortunately still dies. But you don't want that to happen tonight. There's something willing you to force yourself involved. And then all of a sudden you're on that mountaintop. It's dark, it's raining, there's a storm, because why not? And you see the dark figure, you know your dream, you see this dark figure step out of the shadows. Oops, you step out of the shadows. I broke everything, there we go. Sorry, I broke my recording, there we go. Step out of the shadows, and a red beam of light. I haven't got my lightsaber on me, otherwise I'd do. A red beam of light just ignite in the night sky. You hear Master Ingtar, Remux, stay out of this. Don't worry. I will deal with this misguided fool. And you see a blue lightsaber blade ignite in the darkness. The battle goes back and forward, the lightning strikes, igniting with the lightsaber blades, connecting and parrying back and forward. And you force yourself, and I'm not going to stand by and wait. And you careen into combat with a purple blade in your hand. And you strike at this dark warrior holding a red lightsaber. May I have a lightsaber check, please?
Ooh, I've never made one of those. Okay.
It's engaged, so it's melee. Can you add a black dice, 2 black dice, please, onto your roll? So you need to do 2 purple and 2 black.
Fucking hell. This isn't going to succeed. It'd be amazing if it did. Oh my god! 3 success, 2 threat.
So you dive into the path of this swinging red blade and you parry it with your purple one, swinging around using the techniques that Master Ingtar has taken to you, and you catch the flesh, or at least the shadow that looks like this breathing thing, and you hear it yelp and shout back, jump back from where you are, and it goes, "You're not ready yet." And he comes back in with a swing of his own.
Oh,
Steps
my
in.
God.
He steps in under your guard, batting aside your lightsaber, and you just feel this sharp pain. And in slow motion, you see your lightsaber spin off, still ignited, and connected to it is your arm.
Mm.
And you see it go in slow motion over towards the cliff edge, and you hear a hiss in your ear. "Find me when you're ready." And you get kicked in the chest as you spin around. You see Master Ingtar with a purplish / motes of purple light fading from view as he looks at you with horrified eyes and says, "Run." And that's when you fall off of the cliff. You
Dum,
wake.
dum, dum.
You wake. Phantom pain in your arm. You look at your arm, your cybernetic arm, and you look at it and you go, "It's never quite been the same." And then you remember those days in the canyon. You didn't die. You fell, bouncing around and hurt. In your panic, you run. Master Ingtar's dead. You can't feel him anymore. You run. And the only place you know where to run is to the first camp, because this is nighttime and the creatures are out to play. As you're running towards the camp, blood coming out of your wounds, you're trying to hold it and run, and you can hear all of the creatures of the night call out in an echoing chorus of blood. They don't say blood, but they can smell blood.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get close to the circle, probably about 50 feet away, you can hear from behind you. And as you turn very slowly to see the rancor that was stuck onto the rocks is chasing you, is more gaping wide. And it reaches for you as you make one last leap into that circle. And you see its hand catch the edge and then pull away as if it was burnt. And there you stay for the night. Or at least a night. You wake in the morning, or wake some point in the morning, heavy blood loss having taken you. You're delirious. What happens? Why? What's going on? Like, you've got to sort yourself out. You're bleeding. You're still bleeding gently. I mean, the lightsaber would have cauterized most of the wound, but it's still caused you. Excuse me. But you need to get out of here. How did he get here? Must have had a ship. So there's ships that come to Dathomir. You go back up to your camp. Try and recover items of yours. Little things that you've made, carvings out of wood, some of Master Ingtar's things, including his book. And you head off in search of a pirate crew. Who do you find in this pirate crew? Have you thought about this? Or is this how you join the Surgeon? The crew, Captain Soul, Captain Lace happen to find you?
Yeah, I think when I wrote it, I imagined it was some other pirate that happened to be coming here, but it could be it was probably a cleaner plot if it's um, someone from the surgeon's crew
Well,
who finds me.
we can have a blast from the past, if you like. So you don't know this person because the guys killed him. However, Captain Valdonote happened to be with his freighter on Dathomir. He was here to make a drop, well, an illicit drop of goods. This isn't a planet that's monitored by the Empire. The witches have been using this area for themselves. This is their planet, and they don't like outsiders. And Captain Valdonote happened to be on this planet as you stumble into the creeping woods and find a ship. And he's saying, well, 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 what have we got here? Yeah, looks like you're missing an arm. What can I do for you?
Please help me. I'm very capable. I can help you. Please take me.
Well, not sure if I've got a helping hand. And he waves his right hand at you. I assume it's your right you had to have.
Yeah.
Well, not part of one of the tribes, are you? Not going to get in any trouble?
No, I'm an outcast.
Well, I'm sure the mother can always deal with a few extra hands, even as big as you. Come on, let's go. My
Thank you.
contact's late anyway. And you get onto this ship, and it is filthy, absolutely filthy. And it is full of cretins, young boys and girls of all different xenology, who are just appear to be sleeping everywhere and anywhere on this deck.
Mhm.
And he goes, right, we're out of here, our contact's late. And you power up, and he leaves the planet. And from there, over a couple of years, you do a few odd jobs for Captain Valdonote, and he always mentions this figure, the mother. But you got paid, you managed to get paid, and he had a few contacts that helped you get an arm, or helped you get an arm. But on one of his jobs, he did something very immoral, and Remux then leaves the employ of Captain Valdonote and somehow falls in with the surgeon. Maybe catches a ride or something with Captain Soul and ends up in the employ.
Nice.
Happy?
Yeah, I love it. That's great.
Good. Any questions?
Um,
I did take what you'd written and I ran with it and I changed a few bits and pieces just to make it work. And I
you did
also,
great. Yeah, I felt like you honoured what I wrote, but added to it. So I'm very happy.
and I thought I was writing loads of notes and I was like, right, I can go really deeply into the Force if we like, but to be honest with you, it's going to be long and boring. It's easier just to touch on the surface and then, because that way I'm not giving away what you are and bits and pieces. But yeah, well, as long as you're happy.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Thanks, man.